Men over 60, I need you to hear this clearly. If you've ever opened your eyes in the morning, looked down, and felt nothing where once there was life and strength, I want you to know it is not because you're too old. What you've been told all your life about aging and manhood, most of it is wrong. Your body is not broken. Your manhood has not abandoned you. And those mornings where you once felt alive, they're not gone forever. They've only gone quiet. And here's the shocker. Inside your own body are 3 hidden switches, points that most men will never hear about, that can flip those circuits back on. No pills, no pumps, no expensive surgeries. Just you, your breath, your awareness, and a few minutes of practice. Stay with me, because before this message is over, you will know exactly what those 3 switches are, where to find them, and how to activate them. And if you think this sounds too simple or too good to be true, that's because no one has ever explained it to you in this way before. I am Dr. Mojit Kara. For over 30 years, I've worked with men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. Men who walked into my office with slumped shoulders, tired eyes, and the quiet belief that their best days were behind them. They sat across from me and whispered, "Doc, is something wrong with me? I used to wake up strong. Now I feel nothing." And do you know what I told them? Nothing is wrong with you. You see, what most men don't realize is this: aging is not the thief of erections. Aging does not erase your ability to feel alive. What happens is far simpler and far more hopeful. Over the years, the signals your body once sent so naturally, the pathways that carried energy and blood, they grow quiet. Like a room in your house that hasn't been used in years, the power is still there, the lights still work, but the switch hasn't been flipped in so long that the room stays dark. That doesn't mean the electricity is gone. It means the connection hasn't been made. And in the same way, your manhood is still there waiting. Your nerves are still alive. Your blood vessels are still capable. You just need to remind them of what they already know. And here's where it gets exciting. Because the moment you flip those hidden switches, everything changes. Blood begins to flow. Sensation returns. Morning strength rises again, sometimes faster than you can imagine. Now, before we dive into these points, I need you to do one thing. Subscribe, turn on the bell, and stay to the very end. Because I promise you, by the time we finish, you will not only understand how to awaken your manhood again, you'll also know the daily habits that keep the results permanent. And if you feel this message speaks directly to you, type a 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. That way, I'll know exactly how to make these lessons better for the men who need them most. But for now, lean in. Because this is the truth most men will never hear from their doctors. Your erections do not disappear simply because of age. They fade because the switches grew quiet. But here's the beautiful part. Once you find those switches, once you press them with the right touch, the right breath, and the right patience, the signals return. I've seen it happen too many times to doubt it. Harold, a 74-year-old retired postal worker, walked into my clinic with tears in his eyes. "Doc, I don't care about sex anymore. I just want to wake up one morning and feel alive again." That sentence hit me harder than anything, because it revealed the truth behind what so many men really crave. Not just an erection, not just performance, but the dignity, the energy, the sense of being whole again. 3 weeks later, Harold called me, his voice trembling. It happened, he said. I woke up this morning, and for the first time in 10 years, I felt like myself again. That moment changed everything for him. And it can change everything for you, because the truth is, you are not finished. Your body is not too old. You have not lost what makes you a man. You've only forgotten how to flip the switch. And right now, in this message, I am going to show you how. The first step is to understand what's really going on inside your body when morning strength begins to fade. Once you grasp that truth, once you see the real reason why the lights dim, you'll never look at aging the same way again. And that's exactly where we're going next. Now, let's start with the first and most important truth. Erections don't disappear simply because you're older. That's the myth nearly every man over 60 has been tricked into believing, and it's the single most damaging lie men carry into their later years. Think about it. From the time we're young, society whispers the same story. Enjoy it while you're young, because once you hit your 60s, it's over. Doctors, commercials, even the jokes on late-night TV reinforce the same message that age steals your vitality, that once the clock ticks past a certain number, your body shuts down for good. But here's what I tell every man who sits across from me: aging is not the same as losing. Aging does not erase your ability. It does not erase your manhood. What actually happens is far simpler and far more hopeful. Your body still remembers how to rise in the morning. Your nerves are still alive. Your blood vessels are still capable. The current is still there inside you, waiting. The only thing that changes with age is the volume of the signal. Instead of shouting, it whispers. Instead of lightning fast, it slows. The lights in the room don't burn out, they just haven't been switched on in a long time. I once had a patient named Harold. You heard a part of his story earlier, but let me tell you what struck me most. He came into my office, 74 years old, shoulders heavy, eyes tired. He said, "Doc, I don't care if I ever have sex again. I just want to wake up and feel alive. I just want to know that part of me isn't gone forever." Do you hear the depth of that? It wasn't just about intimacy, it was about dignity, about knowing that his body still responded, that he wasn't broken, that he could still trust himself. When I examined him, I told him something that startled him at first. I said, "Harold, nothing is wrong with you." He blinked, confused. "How can that be, Doc? I feel nothing. It's like the lights went out." I explained to him that it's not about damage, it's about silence. His body hadn't lost the ability, it had just gone quiet. And quiet things can always be awakened. You see, men often assume the absence of morning strength means permanent loss. But science says otherwise. Blood vessels may stiffen, nerves may fire less often, but they don't die off completely just because you turned 60. They lie dormant, waiting for a signal. The problem is no one ever teaches us how to keep those signals alive. Think of it this way. Imagine a piano sitting in the corner of your home. If you don't play it for years, the keys gather dust, the strings grow stiff, the sound goes flat. But does that mean the piano is ruined? All it takes is tuning, attention, and practice, and suddenly music fills the room again. Your manhood is that piano. Silent, maybe neglected, but not broken. And once you start pressing the right keys, the song comes back. Another patient, Leonard, 69 years old, told me something similar. "Doc, I don't care much for sex anymore. I only want to know my body can still respond. He wasn't chasing youth. He wasn't trying to prove something to anyone else. He just wanted confirmation that his body still belonged to him. And when Leonard began the practices I showed him, within weeks he felt warmth, sensitivity, a quiet pulse he thought was gone. The look in his eyes when he told me was unforgettable. It wasn't about the physical act, it was about hope, about identity, about knowing he wasn't finished. This is why I fight so hard against the myth, because when a man believes age has taken everything, he gives up. He lowers his shoulders, silences his voice, and carries quiet shame he never admits to anyone else. I've watched marriages suffer, not because love disappeared, but because hope did. And it all starts with that one poisonous lie, you're too old. But here's the truth you need to tattoo on your mind. Erections do not vanish with age. They fade because you stopped sending the signals. They fade because the pathways, the blood vessels, the nerves, the muscles have been left quiet for too long. And like any quiet pathway, once you walk it again, it comes alive. I often tell my patients to picture a dusty light switch in an old cabin. Flip it once, nothing happens. Flip it again, maybe a faint flicker. Keep at it with steady pressure, and suddenly the room glows bright. That's how your body works. The power is already flowing through the wires. You just need to remind the system how to connect. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Doc, this sounds too simple. If it were true, why hasn't anyone told me before? And that's a fair question. The truth is, our medical system doesn't focus on teaching men how to reawaken their own bodies. It focuses on prescriptions, procedures, and products. That's where the money is. Pills, pumps, implants. They treat the surface problem without addressing the silent pathways beneath. But the men who discover those hidden pathways, the ones I'm about to show you, realize something life-changing. Their bodies are not broken. They're simply waiting for attention. And once they receive it, mornings change. Confidence returns. And with it a sense of pride no pill can provide. So here's what I want you to hold on to. You are not broken. You are not finished. Age is not your enemy. The myth is the enemy. The belief that time has stolen your manhood is the chain holding you down. Break the myth and you break the chain. And once that chain is broken, once you know your body still responds, you're ready to learn where the real switches are. The points most men never discover, the hidden keys that can flip the power back on. The first of those points lies just above your pubic bone. It's a place men ignore their entire lives, yet inside it rests one of the greatest command centers of male vitality. When awakened, it can stir sensations you thought were gone forever. And in the next section, I'm going to show you exactly how it works and why touching this point may be the first step toward restoring the strength you thought was lost. Now that you understand the truth that age does not steal your erections, it's time to flip the first hidden switch. And believe me when I say, this one surprises nearly every man I've ever shown it to. The first point lies just above your pubic bone. That small stretch of your lower abdomen where your belly meets your pelvis. Most men glance at this spot in the mirror and think nothing of it. To them, it's just skin, bone, maybe a little soft tissue. But in reality, this tiny area is one of the most powerful command centers of male vitality. When I press here with a patient gently, not with force. Something remarkable often happens. Their eyes widen, their body stirs, and a quiet hum of energy ripples through a part of them they thought had gone silent forever. It starts subtle, almost like a warm spark, but with time and repetition, that spark grows into circulation, sensation, and eventually natural strength that no pill could ever replicate. I remember a man named Walter, 67 years old. He walked into my clinic looking defeated, shoulders slumped, voice low. "Doc," he said, "I think I've lost it. I haven't woken up strong in years." His words carried the weight of resignation, the belief that his manhood was gone for good. I guided Walter's hand to that spot just above his pubic bone. I asked him to breathe deeply, slowly into his belly and to apply gentle pressure, not force, not desperation, just presence. Within minutes, he blinked, startled. "Doc, I feel something." A warmth, a stirring. His entire posture shifted. His eyes brightened, his chest lifted. For the first time in our conversation, 2 weeks later, Walter returned. His face carried a glow I hadn't seen before. He leaned in and said, "Every morning I feel something stirring again. I thought it was gone, but it's coming back." That moment was proof of what I've seen over and over again. When you awaken this point, you remind your body of its natural pathways. You knock on a door that has been shut for too long, and suddenly the circuits begin to reconnect. Why does this work? Because beneath this area lie key blood vessels and nerves that supply the lower organs. Over time, when we stop engaging them, when we live with stress, poor circulation, or neglect, the signals grow weaker, the vessels tighten, and blood flow slows. It's not that they've disappeared, they've simply gone quiet. By pressing gently on this spot and combining it with deep, mindful breathing, you remind those vessels and nerves of their purpose. You send a signal to your body, wake up, flow again. Remember what you're meant to do. It's biology, not magic. The vessels dilate, nitric oxide is released, blood returns, and the nerves fire with renewed connection. But let me be clear, this is not about pushing hard or trying to force an erection in the moment. Too many men fall into that trap, thinking pressure equals power. No, this is about re-establishing communication with your body. Your manhood listens when you treat it with patience, care, and when that communication returns, strength follows naturally. One of my patients once described it beautifully. He said, "Doc, it feels like my body is remembering me." That's exactly what this first point does. It helps your body remember the signals it once sent effortlessly. And it's not just about erections. Many men who practice this daily tell me they regain a sense of dignity, of being alive in their own skin. One man told me, "For years I felt like my body was betraying me, but now, even before I wake up hard, I wake up proud, because I know my body is still capable." Think of this point as a reset button. Each gentle press is a reminder that your body hasn't forgotten. It's just waiting for you to reconnect. Like dusting off that old piano, each touch brings the music back a little louder. Now, I need to warn you. Most men dismiss this at first because it feels too simple. They think, how could pressing above my pubic bone possibly matter? But those same men, when they commit, when they give it a few minutes each day, come back astonished. They realize the simplicity is the power. No gadgets, no gimmicks, just their own hands, breath, and awareness. And here's where it gets even more exciting. Because while this first point above the pubic bone is powerful, it's only the beginning. There is another hidden switch, one that men almost never hear about, that may hold the greatest key of all. It lies in a place most men avoid, ignore, or even joke about. Yet when awakened, it can unlock a flood of circulation and sensation that transforms everything. It's the soft space between your scrotum and your anus, a spot Eastern medicine has respected for thousands of years, but Western medicine has all but ignored. And once you learn how to stimulate this point, you may realize your body still has far more to give than you ever imagined. That's where we're headed next. Now we come to the second hidden point, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, very few men have ever truly paid attention to it. Some don't even realize it exists. Yet once it's discovered, it can flip a switch inside the body that feels almost miraculous. This spot is called the perineum, the soft space that lies between your scrotum and your anus. Most men never touch this area. Some even laugh at the idea of it having any importance. And yet, in Eastern medicine, this point has been honored for thousands of years. It is often called CV1, the foundation of energy flow in the lower body. In Western medicine, however, it's rarely even mentioned. And that's a tragedy, because this one small area can influence blood flow, nerve activity, and circulation in ways that directly impact your ability to wake up strong in the morning. When I first began teaching my patients about this spot, most of them looked at me as though I were joking. "Doc, you want me to focus where? Why would that matter?" But when I guided them through the process, when I asked them to sit gently on a rolled towel, to breathe deeply, to let their body relax into the sensation, what happened next was remarkable. Some felt a faint warmth spreading through their pelvis. Others noticed a subtle pulse, as though blood was flowing where it hadn't in years. And almost all of them described a quiet awareness, a sense that something inside them was reawakening after a long sleep. One man I'll never forget was Thomas, a 71-year-old Marine veteran. His presence was strong, his handshake firm, but his voice was heavy when he told me, "Doc, it's like the lights went out down there. I don't feel anything anymore." I taught Thomas how to sit with gentle pressure on his perineum. No forcing, no grinding, just stillness and breath. Within days, he called me. His voice carried both surprise and relief. "Something's happening," he said. "It's faint, but I feel a pulse again. I feel a..." Weeks later, he walked back into my office a different man. His posture taller, his face brighter. "Doc," he said with a grin, "my mornings aren't empty anymore." He wasn't exaggerating. He had warmth, sensation, and even natural morning strength returning, something he thought had been stolen from him forever. So why does this point work so powerfully? The answer is simple biology. The perineum acts like a valve. When it is tight, ignored, or filled with tension, blood flow to the lower body is blocked. Nerve signals that should travel freely are interrupted. It's as if the body forgets how to send energy to the penis. But when you release that tension, when you breathe into the perineum and allow gentle pressure to soften it, the valve opens. Blood trapped for years begins to flow freely. Nerve pathways reconnect, sensation stirs again, and with patience, that faint flicker of life grows stronger and steady. Now, here's the most important part. This doesn't happen overnight. Too many men expect immediate results and give up when they don't see a miracle in a single session. But even the smallest spark, A flicker of warmth, a subtle pulse, can ignite enormous hope, and hope changes everything. Once a man feels even the slightest return of sensation, his mindset shifts. He no longer believes he is broken. He begins to walk differently, carry himself differently, trust himself again. And that mental shift alone can accelerate physical results. I've witnessed this transformation countless times. A man sits in my office, shoulders hunched, voice quiet. Then, weeks later, he returns with a new presence. His body hasn't just changed, his spirit has. He realizes that aging does not mean giving up, that his body still responds, that he still has power within him. This is why I believe the perineum is so vital. It's the gateway, the hidden switch that unlocks a cascade of healing once it's awakened. But I'll give you this warning. You must approach it with patience and respect. Pressing too hard, rushing the process, or treating it like a trick will not work. The perineum responds to breath, awareness, and stillness. It's less about what your hands do and more about the intention you bring. When you treat your body with respect, your body listens. And let me tell you, the results are worth it. Men who once believed they were finished rediscover not only physical strength, but the dignity of knowing their body still answers them. Their mornings no longer feel empty. Their lives no longer feel diminished. But as powerful as this second point is, it's still not the whole story. There is a third hidden sitch. And this one surprises almost every man I've ever shown it to, because it's not even on your groin. It runs along your inner thigh, in a place you've probably never connected to your manhood at all. Yet once you learn to activate it, you may find it holds the final key to restoring your strength, your energy, and your confidence in ways you never expected. And that's exactly where we're going next. The third and final point I want to reveal is perhaps the most overlooked of all. Unlike the first two, this one doesn't sit on your pelvis or groin. In fact, most men have no idea it has anything to do with their manhood, and yet it may hold the final key to restoring the strength you've been missing. This point lies along the crease of your inner thigh, right where the thigh meets the lower abdomen. Run your fingers along that soft line and you'll notice a tender groove, a place you probably never connected to intimacy or vitality. But hidden beneath that line are two of the most important highways in your body, the femoral artery and the femoral nerve. The femoral artery is one of the main pipelines carrying blood down to the lower body. The femoral nerve carries sensation, transmitting signals from your brain to your manhood. If either of these pathways becomes blocked, stiff, or neglected, your erections lose volume, sensitivity, and strength. Now, here's the catch. Most men spend their entire lives ignoring this area. They think of their thighs as just muscles for walking, sitting, standing, or maybe working out. Rarely do they see them as part of their sexual health, but the truth is, the health of these pathways directly determines the quality of your morning strength. I'll never forget Earl, a 68-year-old truck driver who spent decades behind the wheel. By the time he reached me, he was stiff, tired, and disconnected from his lower body. "Doc," he said, half embarrassed, "I figured my thighs were just for hauling me around. I never thought they had anything to do with what happens in the bedroom." I showed Earl how to trace his fingertips along the inner crease, pausing at tender or tight spots, and to breathe deeply as he applied gentle pressure. At first, he was skeptical. He chuckled and said, "Doc, this feels pointless. But I encouraged him to give it a week. 7 days later, Earl walked into my office with a grin I hadn't seen before. "Doc," he said, "I don't know how to explain this. It feels warmer down there, like the blood is moving again." 2 weeks later, he told me something even better. "I'm waking up with strength I haven't felt in years. And it's not just my body, it's my confidence. I feel like a man again." That's the power of this hidden point. It doesn't just restore blood flow, it restores dignity. It reconnects you to yourself in a way no pill ever could. The science here is straightforward yet profound. When you apply gentle pressure and awareness along the inner thigh line, you release tension in the surrounding tissue. This opens the femoral artery, allowing blood to surge more freely. It stimulates the femoral nerve, reigniting the signals that carry sensation and response. In other words, you're unclogging the main highway and turning the lights back on. It's no wonder men like Earl report more than just erections. Many of them tell me they sleep deeper, feel calmer in the mornings, and even walk with more energy in their legs. One man described it as waking up my whole lower body. Another told me, "Doc, I feel like the road's been cleared, like traffic is moving again." That's exactly what's happening. The circulation and nerve signals that had slowed down are flowing freely once more. And just like the other points, the key here is patience, not force. This isn't about digging in hard or bruising the tissue. It's about awareness, breath, and presence. Treat your body gently, and it responds. Here's what makes this third point so powerful. When combined with the first two, it completes the circuit. Think of your body like a city. The pubic bone point awakens the inner command center. The perineum opens the valve, and the inner thigh line clears the main road. Together, these 3 points create a network of blood flow and nerve activity that reawakens your manhood from every angle. I often tell my patients, "You've been carrying the keys all along, you just didn't know where to use them." These 3 points are those keys, and once you begin pressing them with patience and consistency, you'll discover what men like Walter, Thomas, and Earl already have. Your body still remembers. But before you start practicing, let me share one final warning. If your foundation is weak, your results may fade. Pressing these points will spark change. Yes, but lasting strength requires more. That's why, in the next section, I'll reveal the 5 simple daily habits that transform these techniques from a quick spark into a lasting fire. They're not complicated, they don't take hours. In fact, they're so simple, most men dismiss them at first. But those who commit discover something extraordinary. Their mornings stay strong, their bodies feel younger, and their confidence carries into every part of life. So, as we leave this third point behind, remember this: the switches are real, the science is sound, and your body is waiting. But the secret to making it last comes, and once you hear these habits, you'll understand why men who practice them don't just wake up harder, they wake up stronger, calmer, and more alive than they ever imagined. By now, you might be wondering, why do these 3 points matter so much? Why would pressing above your pubic bone, breathing into your perineum, or tracing your inner thigh suddenly bring life back to your mornings? The answer is not mystery. It's not magic. It's pure biology, combined with the wisdom of reconnecting to your erections are nothing more than the result of 2 systems working in harmony: blood flow and nerve signals. That's it. When those systems are strong and open, you wake up hard without even thinking about it. When those systems are blocked, neglected, or ignored, morning strength fades. not because the ability is gone, but because the communication is broken. That's exactly what happens when you stimulate these 3 points. The point above the pubic bone reawakens circulation deep in the pelvis. It flips on the command center for blood flow, reminding the vessels and nerves below to send life where it belongs. The perineum acts like a valve. When relaxed and opened, it allows blood that has been trapped for years to surge freely again, reconnecting nerve signals that had grown silent. The inner thigh line clears the main highway, the femoral artery and nerve. Once tension releases, blood and sensation flow smoothly, powering everything downstream. Together, they form a circuit. Each point by itself can spark change. But when combined, they reestablish the natural pathways your body depends on. I've seen this work for men who believed they were finished. Men who told me, "Doc, I've tried everything. I've taken the pills, used the pumps, even considered surgery. Nothing worked, but once they practiced these techniques consistently, warmth, sensitivity, and morning strength began to return." One man, Leonard, 69 years old, told me something I'll never forget. "Doc, I don't care about sex anymore. I just want to know my body can still respond." For years, he woke up feeling nothing. After just weeks of stimulating these points, he called me one morning with joy in his voice. "It happened," he said. "I woke up hard. No pills, no tricks, just me." The joy in his voice told me everything. It wasn't just about the physical change. It was about dignity, about confidence, about the relief of knowing he wasn't broken. Science supports what men like Leonard feel. When blood vessels dilate and nitric oxide is released, circulation improves, fresh oxygen and nutrients reach the tissue. The vessels expand, making erections stronger. At the same time, nerve stimulation reawakens the connection between brain and body. The signals that once whispered begin to shout again. And here's the key. You don't need to fight your body. You don't need to trick it with chemicals. You simply need to remind it of the pathways it already knows. Once you do, your body responds almost automatically. But let's be honest, some men hear this and remain skeptical. They think, if this really worked, why haven't I heard it before? Why doesn't every doctor teach this? The truth is, most of modern medicine focuses on treatment, not prevention, on prescriptions, not reconnection. There's no profit in teaching men how to awaken their own bodies. But here's what I've seen after decades of practice. The men who learned these points, the men who commit, discover something that changes more than their mornings. They discover that they are not finished, that their bodies still carry life, dignity, and strength. I think of Walter, who thought he'd lost everything. I think of Thomas, the Marine who rediscovered his pulse. I think of Earl, the truck driver who realized his thighs were highways of life. These men are living proof that the science is real. The body responds when you flip the right switches. Now let me emphasize this. The points are powerful, but they're not the full answer. Think of them as the light switches in a house. If you flip the switch, the light comes on, yes. But if the wiring in the house is corroded, if the foundation is weak, the lights will flicker. In the same way, if you stimulate the points without building a solid foundation in your daily life, your results may not last. You might see sparks, but not a steady flame. That's why, in the next section, I'm going to share with you 5 simple daily habits. Habits so small you may laugh at them at first. But when combined with the 3 points, they transform your mornings permanently. They're the reinforcements, the wires and circuits that keep the current flowing for years to come. And once you learn them, you'll realize something powerful. The secret to lasting strength is not in what you do once, it's in what you choose to do every day. So let's talk about those habits, because they are the missing link between a flicker of hope and a lifetime of confidence. By now you understand the three switches: the pubic bone, the perineum, and the inner thigh line. Each of them reawakens blood flow and nerve activity in ways most men never imagine. But here's the truth: if your body's foundation is weak, your results will fade. Think of it like starting a fire. Striking the match gives you a spark, but unless you feed it with wood and air, the flame dies out. The 3 points are the spark. The habits I'm about to share with you, they're the fuel that keeps your fire alive for years to come. These 5 boosters are simple. They don't require hours at the gym, expensive supplements, or complicated routines. In fact, they're so simple most men dismiss them at first. But the ones who commit, their results multiply tenfold. Let's break them down one by one. Habit 1. Deep belly breathing. Not the shallow chest breathing most of us do without thinking. I'm talking about slow, deliberate breaths that fill the belly and expand the diaphragm. Why does this matter? Because deep breathing floods your body with oxygen, relaxes your blood vessels, and triggers the release of nitric oxide, the very chemical that expands arteries and allows blood to surge into your manhood. I've seen men lower their blood pressure, calm their nervous system, and wake up with stronger responses just from practicing 5 minutes of belly breathing a day. One patient told me, "Doc, I didn't believe something so simple could matter, but after a week, I felt calmer, my chest felt open, and my mornings were stronger." Your breath is the most direct way to tell your body, "I'm alive, I'm ready, flow again." Habit 2, morning hydration. Every night while you sleep, your body dehydrates, your blood thickens, your circulation slows. And when blood doesn't move freely, your mornings feel. That's why I tell my patients to start every day with a glass of warm water. Not cold, not iced, warm. Warm water thins the blood gently, primes circulation, and helps flush your system away. One man, 72 years old, laughed when I first suggested it. "Doc, how could water change anything?" 2 weeks later, he came back shaking his head. "I don't know what it is, but my mornings are different. I feel lighter, more awake, and yes, harder." It's not magic, it's biology. Water is the fuel your bloodstream depends on. Without it, no point or pathway can work at full power. Habit 3. Reducing evening sugar. I know the comfort of dessert after dinner, ice cream, cake, maybe a glass of soda. But sugar is silent poison for your blood vessels. Every bite damages the lining of your arteries, stiffening them, making it harder for blood to flow freely where it matters most. I've had men who simply cut out their nightly sugar habit and noticed within weeks their morning erections are fuller and stronger. Why? Because their vessels were finally healing overnight instead of struggling against sugar damage. One patient told me, "Doc, I never realized my nightly ice cream was robbing me of my mornings." Once he stopped, his results improved faster than he imagined. Reducing sugar isn't about denial. It's about giving your blood vessels the chance to recover so they can serve you when you need them most. Habit 4. Gentle evening movement. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights. A simple walk after dinner can transform your mornings. Why? Because walking activates your venous pump. the natural mechanism that pushes blood back to your heart and keeps circulation even through the night. Without movement, blood pools, circulation stagnates, and your lower body pays the price. One retired teacher told me, "Doc, I thought my walking days were over, but just 15 minutes after dinner changed everything. My legs feel lighter, my mornings stronger, and I sleep." It's not about distance, it's about rhythm. A gentle walk is enough to reset your circulation and prepare your body for the night. Habit in 5, respectful presence. This one might surprise you, because it's not physical at all, it's mental. If you rush through the points with frustration, impatience, or desperation, your nervous system resists. Your body tenses. The signals stay blocked. But when you approach the practice with patience, care, and respect, treating your body as though it is sacred, something shifts. Your nervous system listens, it softens, it responds. One of my patients told me, "Doc, I stopped fighting my body and started listening to it." That's when things change. His results didn't come from pressing harder. They came from pressing softer, with more awareness, more trust. This is not New Age fluff. It's the way your nervous system is designed to respond. When you bring calm presence, your body follows. Why these habits matter? Together, these 5 habits form the foundation that keeps your results alive. They don't just spark a change, they reinforce it. They tell your body every single day, "I still value you, I still trust you, I still believe in you." And when your body receives that message consistently, it rewards you with strength, dignity, and confidence. But I know what you might be thinking. Do these really work? That's why in the next section, I want to share real stories. Stories of men just like you who put these points and habits into practice and discovered changes they thought were impossible. Because nothing speaks louder than proof. Whenever I talk about these methods, I know there are men listening who nod politely but still carry doubt in their hearts. They think, "Doc, it sounds good, but I've tried everything. Pills, supplements, devices, none of it worked. Why should this be any different?" And I understand that doubt. I've sat across from hundreds of men who felt the same way. Men who carried the quiet shame of feeling broken. Men who thought they were the exception. The one body too far gone, too old, too tired to respond. But over the years, I've witnessed something powerful. When a man commits to these practices, no matter his age, his body finds a way to respond. The changes I've seen aren't just physical. They are deeply personal, restoring dignity, confidence, and hope in ways words can barely capture. Let me share some of their stories with you. Harold, the spark of life. Harold was 74, a retired postal worker from Minnesota. He came to me one evening exhausted, not just physically but emotionally. He had tried every pill, every so-called remedy he could find. Nothing worked. He looked me in the eye and said, "Doc, I don't need to feel 20 again. I just want to wake up one morning and know I still matter." Those words carried the weight of loneliness and disappointment, the feeling so many men carry but rarely speak aloud. I taught Harold the 3 points. I told him to be patient, to trust the process, and to combine them with the simple habits we just discussed. 3 weeks later, he called me. His voice trembled, not from weakness but from joy. "It happened," he said. "I woke up this morning with strength, natural strength. For the first time in over a decade." It wasn't just his body that changed that day. It was his spirit. He walked taller, He smiled later. He carried himself like a man who had been given back a part of his life he thought was gone forever. Leonard, proof he wasn't finished. Leonard, 69 years old, confessed something to me during our first meeting. "Doc," he said, "I don't care much about sex anymore. I just want to know my body can still respond." For him, it wasn't about performance. It was about identity. He needed proof that age hadn't erased his manhood. When Leonard began practicing the points and habits, he wasn't expecting miracles, but soon he noticed warmth, sensitivity, and a quiet pulse he thought had vanished. Then one morning, his body responded fully. He sent me a message that simply said, "Doc, I know now I'm not finished. I still have life left in me." That moment changed everything for him. It wasn't just about the physical response. It was about pride. It was about hope. It was about knowing that aging hadn't stolen who he was. Earl, confidence in every step. Earl was a 68-year-old truck driver. Decades of sitting behind the wheel left his body stiff, tired, and disconnected. He thought his thighs were just muscles for hauling him around, nothing more. But when I showed him the inner thigh line, the femoral pathway, he discovered something he never expected. Within a week of practicing, he felt warmth spreading through his lower body. By the second week, he was waking up with strength he hadn't felt in years. But what struck me most wasn't just his return of morning erections. It was his transformation and confidence. "Doc," he said, "I feel more in control. I feel like a man again." For Earl, it wasn't just about intimacy. It was about walking taller, sleeping deeper, and facing the day with Thomas, the pulse of life. And then there was Thomas, the 71-year-old Marine veteran. He came to me saying, "Doc, it's like the lights went out down there. I don't feel anything anymore." I guided him to the perineum point, teaching him how to sit with gentle pressure and deep breath. Within days, he felt something stir. Within weeks, his mornings were no longer empty. The joy in his voice when he told me, "Doc, I feel alive again," reminded me why I share these practices. Because no man should ever believe his body is beyond hope. The common thread, what ties all these stories together, isn't just the return of erections. It's the return of something much deeper, hope that life isn't over, dignity in knowing the body still responds, confidence that transforms posture, presence, and self-respect. These men weren't chasing youth. They weren't trying to relive their 20s. They were reclaiming their sense of being whole, alive, and capable. That's why I say these stories are more than proof. They are a reminder that your body is not broken, that your manhood is not gone, that your age does not define your ability to feel alive again. And as inspiring as these stories are, there's still one more lesson you must understand, perhaps the most important of all, because if you want these changes to last not for a week, not for a month, but for the rest of your life, you need to grasp the principle that makes all the difference. And once you hear it, you'll realize your best years aren't behind you. They're waiting quietly ahead. That's what we'll uncover in the next section. After decades of working with men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s, there's one truth that stands taller than all the rest. A truth I wish every man could hear, because it separates the ones who see lasting change from the ones who only glimpse it for a moment. Here it is. Real change does not come from trying something once, not from pressing a point for a few minutes and expecting a miracle, not from breathing deeply for one day and assuming everything will be fixed. Real change comes from commitment, from showing up every single day with patience and purpose. That is how a practice becomes a ritual. That is how a flicker becomes a flame. That is how a man reclaims what he thought was lost forever. The trap of quick fixes. Too many men fall into the same trap. They discover these points, try them once or twice, maybe feel a faint spark, and then quit when it doesn't turn into fireworks overnight. They say, "See, Doc, it doesn't work." But here's the mistake. They treated their body like a vending machine. Press the button. Expect instant results. If the candy doesn't drop, they walk away. Your body isn't a vending machine. It's a living system. A system that responds to consistency, to patience, to respect. Think about how long it took for the signals to grow quiet in the first place. Years, decades. You can't expect to undo all that silence in a day. But here's the good news. Your body remembers, and the moment you begin treating it with care, day after day, it responds. Maybe slowly at first, maybe with subtle warmth, a faint pulse, or the tiniest flicker of sensation, but keep showing up, and that flicker grows stronger. Commitment changes everything. I've seen men discover the 3 points, feel hope for the first time in years, and then lose it because they didn't stay consistent. I've also seen men who made these techniques a daily act of self-respect, and their entire lives transformed. The difference was not their age. It was not their health history. It was not their luck. The difference was their commitment. Those who chose to treat their bodies as worthy of care, who invested a few minutes each day in breathing, pressing, and reconnecting, saw results that lasted, and not just physical results, emotional results, confidence, pride, a quiet strength that carried into every part of life. One man told me, "Doc, I feel like I've been given back a part of myself I thought was gone." Another said, "Every morning I wake up now, I don't just feel stronger, I feel more alive." That's the power of consistency. It doesn't just restore erections, it restores identity. It's not about youth. And let me make something very clear. This is not about chasing youth. It's not about pretending you're 25 again. It's not about fighting the clock or denying your age. It's about stepping into this season of your life with dignity, with confidence, with strength. It's about telling your body, "I still believe in you. I still trust you. I will not abandon you." That's why some of the most powerful transformations I've seen didn't happen in men in their 40s or 50s. They happened in men in their 70s. Men who decided it was not too late. Men who realized their story wasn't finished. From doubt to confidence. I think of Walter, who once told me, "Doc, I thought my mornings were gone forever." Now he wakes up every day with proof that his body still listens. I think of Harold, who simply wanted to feel alive again and discovered that life still burned inside him. I think of Leonard, who no longer cared about performance, but found peace in knowing his body could still respond. These men didn't get there because they tried once. They got there because they committed, and that is the final lesson I want you to carry with you. That consistency beats age. That daily patience beats decades of silence. That your body rewards the man who shows up again and again with respect. The choice is yours. So, here's the truth. You have a choice. You can believe the myth that you are finished, that aging has stolen your manhood, and you can accept mornings of emptiness. Or you can choose to believe your body still remembers. You can choose to press the points, to breathe deeply, to drink your water, to walk after dinner, to show respect every single day. That choice may take minutes, but the impact lasts a lifetime. Because once you decide to commit, once you decide to reconnect with your body, you'll discover what men like Harold, Leonard, Earl, and Thomas already have. Your prime is not behind you. It's alive, waiting, ready to be claimed. And now, as we bring this journey together, I want to show you how everything, these points, these habits, these stories, and this final lesson connects into one powerful conclusion. A conclusion that will remind you, once and for all, that your body is not broken, your manhood is not gone, and your best days are not memories. They are waiting inside you right now. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to pause for just a moment. Take a breath and think about everything you've heard. You may have started this video with doubt, maybe frustration, maybe even quiet resignation, believing your body had already left its best days behind, believing the myth that age had stolen something from you that could never return. But now you know the truth. Your body is not broken. Your manhood is not gone. And your age does not define your ability to feel alive again. What you've discovered are 3 simple points above the pubic bone, the perineum, and the inner thigh line that act like hidden switches. Switches that have been waiting patiently for you to flip them back on. You've learned that pressing these points isn't magic, it's science. It's about blood flow and nerve sims, about clearing highways and restoring currents, about reminding your body of what it already knows. And you've seen how when these points are combined with small daily habits, breathing deeply, hydrating with warm water, reducing evening sugar, walking gently after dinner, and treating your body with respect, they transform from a spark into a steady flame. The power of proof. I've shared with you the stories of real men. Harold, who thought his mornings were finished until strength returned after a decade of silence. Leonard, who only wanted to know his body could still respond and found peace in discovering it could. Earl, who realized his thighs were more than muscle and reclaimed his confidence behind the wheel of life. Thomas, the Marine who felt the pulse of life return where he thought the lights had gone out forever. These men are proof that your story is not finished. Proof that your body still carries dignity, strength, and vitality inside it. Proof that you are not too old, not too far gone, not beyond hope. And maybe, just maybe, proof that what you've been searching for is already inside you, waiting for you to awaken it. It's about more than erections. Let me be clear. This is not just about erections. It's about what erections represent: life, energy, confidence, pride, and the quiet dignity of knowing your body still answers you. Every time you press these points with patience, you're not just stimulating blood flow. You're sending yourself a message: I am still here. I still matter. I will not give up on myself. Every time you drink that glass of water, or walk after dinner, or breathe deeply into your belly, you're reinforcing that message. I respect my body. I trust my body. I believe in my... And when you send those messages consistently, your body listens. It responds. It rewards you with mornings of strength, nights of peace, and days of... The final lesson. The final lesson is this: real change is not about what you do once. It's about what you choose to do every single day. Consistency beats age. Respect beats doubt. Patience beats years of silence. That's how men like Walter, Harold, Leonard, and Earl reclaimed their mornings. That's how men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s discovered their bodies still carried life. And that's how you can too. Because the truth is simple. Your prime is not a memory of the past. It's not a dream lost as time. Your prime is alive right now, inside you, waiting for you to claim it. Your next step. So as you finish this message, I want you to take it personally. Tonight, when you lie down, or tomorrow morning when you rise, make the choice to begin. Find the points. Press with patience. Breathe deeply. Drink your water. Walk your walk. And most importantly, because once you do, you'll discover what countless men before you have already found, that your mornings are not empty, that your body is not finished, that your life still carries dignity, power, and strength. You'll wake up harder, yes, but more than that, you'll wake up prouder, you'll wake up stronger, you'll wake up more connected to the man you truly are. Call to action. And now it's your turn. If this message spoke to you, type 1 in the comments. Let me know you're with me. If it didn't, type 0, so I know how to keep improving these lessons for you. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another tip, another truth, another chance to reclaim the life waiting inside you. Because this is just the beginning. Your body still remembers. Your manhood still responds. Your life is not finished. And your prime. It's not behind you. It's right here, right now, waiting for you to claim it.